continuer. On parle de mieux se connaître pour mieux prendre soin, pour mieux construire. Et cela passe aussi par être familier avec un vocabulaire, être familier avec cette notion de trauma-informed care. Je m'excuse de l'anglicisme parce que des soins adaptés au traumatisme, pour moi, ne semble pas la meilleure façon de le dire. Donc, on a Nadine Favics, Patrick McDougall et Ritchie du Dr. Peter Center à Vancouver, qui partageront avec nous dans quelques instants les principes et les grandes lignes d'un atelier conçu pour outiller et mettre en lumière l'importance de veiller à la santé mentale des personnes, des travailleurs qui accompagnent les personnes vulnérables. Donc, encore une fois, malgré tous les défis, la fatigue des décennies et de la complexité, que ce soit de vivre comme colonisé, de vivre comme personne aux prises avec un système qui stigmatise, qui criminalise, et d'être prise aussi avec toutes sortes de défis de santé, c'est important qu'on reste inspiré et encouragé. So, Nadine, Kim, Patrick, where are you?
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup pour nous accueillir ici. Mon nom c'est Patrick. Je travaille au Centre Dr. Peter à Vancouver. Merci. That may be the end of my French for today. I'm sorry. The Dr. Peter Center in Vancouver is an HIV healthcare facility that provides care and support to people living with HIV, as well as those facing what we'd call structural violence. And I thought Mona presented it so well in her presentation. You know, the menu of choices for folks has been reduced due to racism, criminalization, so that people's choices of what they want to do in life are rendered more and more difficult. And our center seeks to uplift and support. Yes, we are focused on HIV, but we provide meals and art and music and recreation therapy, counselors, and we are well known because we started doing supervised injection services about 22 years ago, and kept doing those services for about 16 years without a federal exemption. And we're just so thrilled and envious of the progress everyone here has made in Quebec in terms of inhalation, most notably from the presentation we heard this morning, and I've had the pleasure of going to some of the inhalation sites in Quebec City as well, and then in Gatineau that they're starting, so félicitations à vous autres aussi. About 7 years ago, we started offering, we received some funding from the federal government after they gave us an exemption for our supervised injection. We applied for some funding to support agencies starting up supervised consumption services, and had the honor of working with Cactus and Dopamine, 𝘥𝘰𝘯𝘬𝘓, and 𝘊𝘦𝘵𝘵𝘦𝘵 here, as well as many others. And early on, we heard that yes, there was some practice questions, but it was also, as we know, this structural violence applies to people that we serve, and also as frontline workers, our limited resources as well. We're paid less, we give more, we work longer, the work stays with us in our minds, we care, and we don't give up until we're au bout de souffle, I think is the expression. So. And I think the last 4 years have been very, very hard for all of us, for everyone. And so we did hear about the need for this kind of project to provide care and support for the workers who were doing this work. So with that, we do have a presentation that's interactive in many different ways. This is kind of how we roll at the Dr. Peter Center. We just try things. We hope they're all going to work. At some points, we'll get you to get your phone out and scan a code and then enter stuff. It may work, it may not work. that's how we started supervised injection. But we are going to start, we hope, with a video. We'll see if it works. It may not, just kind of go with it. But, here we go. Okay, so this is Ashley Smoke, who's an Indigenous harm reduction trainer in knowledge translation, and we'll pass it over to Ash.
My name is Ashley Smoke. I'm a lived experience consultant with the Dr. Peters Center. I'm going to be doing a bit of a grounding opening prayer. So I invite you to close your eyes. We thank you, Creator, for all that you've given us, for our life and strength. Creator, please help to ground us today by helping us to visualize ourselves by the ocean. Let us feel the waves running over our feet. Let us feel the cold water flow across our feet and up our legs, into our hips, into our lower back, up our spine, into our chest. Let it fill our heart space. Let the water flow up to the top of our head and out our crown, and let it wash away all the negativity and rejuvenate us. As you sit by the beach, notice the sand. How does it feel? Let it absorb all the grief and pain, loss. Feel all of that neutralize. As you sit on the beach, look out onto the ocean. What do you see? What do you hear? Wind? Waves crashing? What kind of smells are around you? Now it's time to walk away from this place, but you know you can come here whenever you feel overwhelmed. But before you walk away, you notice the sun is rising or setting, whichever one nourishes your soul the most. Let the sun and the nature rejuvenate you. Take it in once more. Before you open your eyes, think of one person who is a beacon of light in your life. One person that you wake up for, that you do this work for, that you admire. As you see their face, take one last look at the scene of the ocean and open your eyes. Thank you, Creator, for giving us a little bit of grounding and peace. 𝘥𝘦𝘵𝘵𝘦.
And a huge thank you to Ashley for recording this for us. And Ashley runs an unsanctioned inhalation site just out of Peterborough, Ontario. She's also a member of the Ontario Network of People Who Use Drugs, and we're honored and privileged to work with her. And we're at the Dr. Peters Center, honored and privileged to work on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. And we're very grateful to be here, to be guests on this unceded land as well. I'll run over this material quite quickly. So this is a project. We received some funding just about a year and a bit ago, And it's to do these workshops, these regional workshops all over Canada, to reduce burnout and build the capacity of frontline workers and organizations to provide trauma and violence-informed services for themselves as well as for others. It's a train-the-trainer model. So there's 3 goals: enhance frontline workers' ability to address trauma and mental health challenges through trauma-informed care for themselves and for their clients; boost organizational capacity for trauma-informed care by addressing barriers and burnout amid the numerous and ongoing public health crises. And the third goal is to combat stigma surrounding trauma and burnout among frontline workers through supportive networks and access to care. At the Dr. Peters Center, we provide these wraparound services, and I'll let you know if you're ever in Vancouver and want to come and visit the Dr. Peters Center, we would love that. Please get in touch. I would be very happy to connect with folks at the lunchtime. And you'd see we have this, we're so fortunate with not only the funding we receive, but also from donations. And we're what I'd call an organization of privilege. Many organizations lack that funding to be able to support their staff in ways that they would want to. And for us, this project is certainly an attempt at trying to provide some of those resources, some of that information, some of that training to those organizations that perhaps don't have the resources available for them. So this project is our solution, and with that, I'm going to pass it over to Nadine.
Bonjour, thank you very much. So honored to be here. And I'm driving Patrick and Kim crazy because they've been sort of running around trying to make sure everything is okay, and I've been sort of sitting back calmly. And sort of the secret to that, I was nervous until I walked through the door and I saw plants. And I thought, okay, what am I nervous about? Safety. This is great. So back to the project and back to see if our technical wizardry works. I know that you incorporate practices in your daily life and work as frontline workers, as peer workers that are trauma informed, but it'll be really neat to be able to reflect on that, because when you're doing the day-to-day, you don't have time to think about how much that flower impacted somebody who came to use your services. So polish your phones, because we're going to put up a Mentimeter, and you'll scan the code and answer this question for me. What trauma-informed approaches do you incorporate in your harm reduction strategies every day? And guess what? We didn't plan the fact that you're going to put French in here, so 𝘰𝘰𝘰𝘰 will help once we get the results up. Okay. Oh, thank you. Somebody's being kind and putting some English there, but look, love. Absolutely. Compassion. Absolutely. Authenticity, empathy. Wonderful. Joy. Did you say you saw joy? Absolutely. So preaching to the converted. Okay, so the next question I have for you is a real trick question. So have you ever supported someone who desperately refused medical care, shelter, or other support due to previous harmful situations? No brainer. With that said, I'm handing it over to Kim Ritchie. Thank you.
Really great to see you here today, friends. So, for those of you not familiar with trauma-informed principles, they are symbiotic with harm reduction. And harm reduction cannot genuinely embody its principles without the incorporation of trauma-informed practices. And it's really important to understand these things. So these methodologies are fundamentally aligned, aiming to transform service delivery for people who face systemic oppression, stigma, and dehumanization. Harm reduction views drug use as complex and multifaceted, which dovetails beautifully with trauma-informed care, which acknowledges the pervasive impacts of adverse childhood experiences and systemic and structural violence on people who use drugs. Both approaches center people's lived experiences as agents of change. But it doesn't just stop there. We know that people face compounding oppressions with racism, criminalization, gender-based violence, and that these add to those we serve's plate. Trauma-informed care in a harm reduction setting is something you're all already practicing every day, whether you realize it or not. When we choose to engage or respond to a drug poisoning emergency and we don't rub the person's sternum with our knuckles, when we give them room to breathe, when we understand that somebody's dysregulation or distress is from withdrawal, anxiety, or ongoing harm. When people show up to our services hungry, cold, and deprived, and they're not the most keen or happy, we know that this is part of structural violence. Like, it always kills me when people are criticizing those experiencing homelessness for their mannerism. It's like, but they just slept on concrete. I don't know how chipper you would be in the morning after that. I'm just putting that out there. So when we talk about these things, we don't just talk about them for the people we serve. I'm sure there's a lot of people in this room who have broken a lot of rib cages saving lives. We have all been front and center to overdoses ourselves and to trying to save those we serve, those we care for, and the communities we love. But that also comes at a cost. It leads to exhaustion, compassion fatigue, and everything in between, especially when we see nothing being done, because everybody in this room knows that every drug poisoning and every overdose is a drug policy failure. We know this. Trauma-informed care is about caring for each other as much as we care for those we serve. Somewhere along the way in our struggles to manage the ongoing housing crisis, the drug poisoning crisis, the gender-based violence crisis, the rampant racism that peaked in all its horrible glory during COVID, the safety net got torn asunder, and I saw myself, some of the best workers in this field, walk away. But it doesn't have to be this way. We may not be able to stop these crises from prevailing, but we can show up for each other, for our peers, our colleagues, our clients, as accomplices and allies in those moments. We can practice non-judgmental support with each other in solidarity and love. Theory is personal. It has always been personal. And when we take theory and we root it in our organization, within its policies, within ourselves, we embody those principles, not just with the person that we care for who walks that door, but for every person that comes through, the new staff, the worker that's been there for 10 years who's exhausted. For everyone, we can create some sustainability, some camaraderie, and together we can get through this. And I fundamentally believe this. And this is why trauma-informed care within harm reduction settings is absolutely necessary, because otherwise wellness and the reduction of harm won't be achievable, let alone sustainable. I am so grateful to see you all here today, showing up for your clients, for yourselves, and honoring the work we do as a movement. So thank you for that. I pass it to Lindsay.
So, excellent, because we're almost done. So I could drag it out, but I just want to leave you with this quote from one of the participants that came to one of the trainings. So they say the homework activity was incredibly useful, and the training and methods to address the social needs. Basically, they had a fun, and hopefully we are looking forward to doing some work in Quebec in the near future. And so I invite you with this wonderful code, right? It worked, to sign up to get some more information, because we'd love to connect with you after and love to see you again. So thank you so much. We're so grateful to be here and wishing you the best day ever. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.